Hi, I'm Ryan CRC. Donald Trump lost the 2020 presidential election to Joe Biden, but Trump couldn't accept the fact that he was defeated. So he hatched a conspiracy theory that the election was rigged against him. He claimed that he actually won the race by a landslide, but widespread voter fraud and election tampering cost him the presidency. His absurd accusations that Democrats stole the election from him would become known as the Big Lie. On January 6, 2021, Congress convened to certify the electoral votes and confirm Joe Biden as the next president. At the same time, Donald Trump held a rally in which he perpetuated allegations that the election was rigged against him. He then encouraged his loyal followers to march down to the Capitol building and stop the steal. The mob laid siege to the Capitol building. They wounded over 150 police officers who were trying to stop the riot and protect the people inside the building. They destroyed property and stopped the congressional proceedings dead in their tracks. Trump was impeached for inciting insurrection. However, the corruption of the Republican Party was in full swing that day. The red senators chose not to convict Trump. If they had, Trump would have never been allowed to run for president again. Justice would have been served, and Americans would have been much safer and happier with Donald Trump permanently out of the Oval Office. The matter probably would have been dropped at that point, but that's not what happened. Now, a special committee is investigating the January 6th attack on the Capitol building months after the insurrection took place. A lot of time, energy, and taxpayer dollars are being wasted on this investigation because it is a self-evident fact that Donald Trump is guilty of inciting insurrection on January 6, 2021. How do we know this? Here are some of the orders Trump gave his followers that day. I will paraphrase some of his statements to avoid clutter and confusion since he tends to ramble. And I quote, "All of us here today do not want to see our election victory stolen by emboldened radical left Democrats," which is what they're doing. "We will never give up. We will never concede. It doesn't happen. You don't concede when there's theft involved. Our country has had enough. We will not take it anymore, and that's what this is all about. And to use a favorite term that all of you people really came up with, we will stop the steal." Today, I will lay out just some of the evidence proving that we won this election by a landslide. This was not a close election. Republicans are constantly fighting like a boxer with his hands tied behind his back. And we want to be so nice. We want to be so respectful of everybody, including bad people. And we're going to have to fight much harder. Now, it's up to Congress to confront this egregious assault on our democracy. After this, we're going to walk down to the Capitol. I'll be there with you. And we're going to cheer on our brave senators, congressmen and women. Because you'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength and you have to be strong. We have come to demand that Congress do the right thing and only count the electors that have been lawfully slated. I know everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard. We must stop the steal, and we must ensure that such outrageous election fraud never happens again. And we fight. We fight like hell. And if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore. So we're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue. We're going to the Capitol. And we're going to try and give the weak Republicans the kind of pride and boldness that they need to take back our country. So let's walk down to Pennsylvania Avenue." End quote. Now, to be fair, Trump did tell his followers to be peaceful. However, insurrection doesn't have to be violent. Insurrection can be peaceful as well. Advocating violence would be an act of treason, because that would be tantamount to waging war against the American government. Nevertheless, Trump clearly told his supporters to subvert the government. As radical crowd members were chanting, "Stop the steal," he riled them up even further with his dangerous rhetoric. He vilified Democrats who were in the Capitol building that day, treating them like enemies of America and blaming them for stealing the election from him. Trump told his cult to be strong as they marched down to the Capitol, to fight like hell to stop the steal, to help the Republican congressmen take back their country, and to never back down. Trump was preaching directly to his cult of followers, using incendiary language as he compelled them to march on the Capitol and fight Congress. There can be no doubt he was inciting a rebellion against the United States government to overthrow the election so he could stay in power, even though he told his followers to be peaceful in their revolt. Now, Trump and his supporters claim they were simply exercising their constitutional right to protest. But that's a flat-out lie, because they had nothing to protest against. There was no widespread voter fraud or election tampering. The election was not stolen from Donald Trump or rigged against him in any way. Biden won the presidential race fair and square. On January 6th, Congress was carrying out its rightful duty to count the electoral votes and confirm Biden as the president-elect. The rioters wanted to stop Congress from doing its job because they didn't like the outcome of this free and fair election. So they attempted to overthrow the government and usurp power from the democratically elected President Joe Biden. That's not protesting, that's insurrection. Because Trump expressly told his mob to subvert the government so he could stay in power, there can be absolutely no doubt that Donald J. Trump incited insurrection on January 6, 2021, by the very definition of the words incite and insurrection. Even if Republicans argue that Trump was not responsible for his supporters' behavior, we have to remember that he organized a public rally in which he told his followers to march on the Capitol building, try and overturn a lawful election, and subvert the American government, which is sedition by definition, whether his followers obeyed him or not. Trump is still guilty of committing a federal crime, and he did so overtly, seeing as how he organized and encouraged a rebellion on national television for the whole country to see. Donald J. Trump should never be allowed to hold office as the President of the United States ever again. Of course, Trump and his faithful cult will continue arguing that the election was rigged and the presidency was stolen from him. In another video, I'll prove them wrong. I'll show how Trump's accusations of widespread voter fraud and election tampering were all false. I'm Ryan CRC. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel to watch more videos. Also, please follow me on social media such as Facebook and Instagram, where you can view more content. Until next time, take care.